Hello and welcome to Thank You to Creations podcast. I'm your host, Elle, and it has been probably over a month now since I released the Halloween episode. I really thought I was going to have some more time, to be honest, to do a little bit more that month. But as one of my friends and colleagues would say, life be lifing. And sometimes we just can't seem to get a grip on our schedules, which is something I have struggled with, I would say, the last year. So many changes, so much constant movement, I would say. And honestly, sometimes you just have to roll with it. There's not much else you can do. I mean, besides be a little emotionally, um, I want to say distant for some reason, but that's the total opposite of how I deal with things. I think I get overly emotional, actually. That's more like my way of handling things. But that's okay. We're human, we are going to have our moments. Sometimes little too much of those moments, but I digress. It has been a bit of a whirlwind, I would say, since our last episode. So many things have occurred and so many ideas in the works of what I want this channel or this podcast to be in the new year. At this point, we've actually had, I believe, over 60 episodes, if I'm not mistaken, since the inception of my channel. And it has been up for about two, I believe, probably 3 years now, almost, probably nearing the third year mark. And it's one of those projects that started as something fun for me to do along with a newsletter. So if y'all have followed Thank You to Creations over the last few years, this is probably I would say like the third kind of project that we worked on besides my jewelry portion of this, right? Which I still do jewelry and I still take custom piece orders. If you're interested in that, there's a separate Instagram account for that, or you can always just private message me. Either or, there's many accounts that I run on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok. It's a lot. But if you do all follow me, not only do I still do the jewelry, I do have, I would say, every often upload new designs for the apparel line, which you can also find on Redbubble and T Public. So I have two apparel lines right now. It's going to be the Thank You to Creations one, where you can find designs more or less that are I would say just relevant to my background, whether that be my culture background or just kind of like my dwelling in crystals and tarot cards, which I haven't been doing too much of that. Maybe I should do that again. Um, and then I also have a separate line, which a lot of you have been really supportive of, which is Defiant AF. And yes, it stands for what you think it stands for. And that is something that just kind of came out of the blue one day and I just ran with it. So it's more graffiti type, more open designs, I would say. And I just recently uploaded a few last month. They did pretty well. So thank you for supporting that. If you haven't followed us on Instagram, I am on Instagram for the time being right now. Haven't opened any other social media accounts. Like I said, I have too many right now that I run, and they don't get the love that they should just because I don't have too much time on my hands. But it is Defiant AF, and you can find them on my bio on Instagram if you follow me, which I used to have a lot of my pages openly available. Just like on the creative side. But I don't know about you all. I just started experiencing a lot of spam accounts, a lot of weirdness going on. I kept getting logged out of my personal accounts and I kept thinking I was getting probably, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Like someone's trying to log into my accounts, right? So I just started just removing a bunch of those weird spammy accounts are following me and just making sure that I cleared out a bunch of them. I'm sorry if yours was not one that was spammy and I removed you. It just looked like you maybe didn't post in a long time, and I was trying to get rid of a lot of those accounts. And now, for now, I just kind of left it private for that reason. But if you do try to add me and you seem like a normal person, I mean, like not robotic or like, someone in like the other side of the world that's trying to um, hack my account, I will add you, of course. So that's a good way to contact me about really anything in regards to my business, whether it be a custom jewelry piece or maybe custom design for t-shirts that are found on Redbubble or on T Public. So keep that in mind. Now, I do want to eventually get to the episode, or I will keep rambling on about what's been going on. Besides me thinking that my accounts have been hacked, I have actually been out of town a lot, I would say, and not just like out of the state, I would just also just out of the city, um, which I think is a good thing for me, just to kind of get some fresh air every now and then. Now, part of that, unfortunately, is that I find myself on the back roads often in darkness because normally, with the whole which I love. I love the whole daylight savings thing. It has really altered my life, I would say the last few months. And so I find myself in these back roads a lot in the dark after 5 p.m., unfortunately for me. For some reason, I have the worst luck when it comes to using navigation apps such as Waze or Google Maps recently, which I thought would be better than Waze, but it's I don't know, maybe it's just user error. I'm not quite sure, why I either lose signal and I'm kind of stuck in the middle of nowhere. But that recently happened to me this last weekend. I was coming back from Austin, and my Google Maps told me I was about an hour and 15 minutes out of town. So I was, you know, tired, but good to go. Like, it's an hour, 15 minutes. Let me put on some music. Let me, get home safely. About 35 minutes out of town, though. For some reason, my Google Maps app stopped working. It kind of just was stuck on the screen where it has you, on the road, but it wasn't sending me like any information as to where to turn, what to do. And so I kind of became a little worrisome just because it was about probably 8ish at this point. Nobody was out. I mean, it was just complete like silence out there in the middle of nowhere. You would see like a car or two. And so I said, okay, well, it seemed like I was going to be going in a straight direction here. Let me just keep doing that. And I would just keep going in the direction I thought that the map was telling me. And there was just nothing. Like the voice wasn't telling me where I needed to turn. It was just complete chaos. So eventually I see there's an opportunity for me to basically stop the car. So I do, and I turn on my emergency lights. And yes, I know. Why didn't I call anyone? Well, I didn't have signal. And two, I feel like my brain just wasn't there to think of like who can I call besides like I don't know, like the police. Like it didn't seem like that kind of emergency, but I will be honest, I was definitely panicking a little bit at a certain point just because again, just wanted to get home, wasn't quite sure what's going on with my, phone app. And this is not the first time this happens. That's why I actually try not to be on the road after dark because I just have the worst luck, especially coming back from bigger cities. So whether it be San Antonio or Austin, I always try not to be on the road so late. And those back roads, they are very narrow. There's a lot of turns. There's a lot of like I can't see, and I feel like I probably have some kind of astigmatism. So it's already difficult for me to see at night. And I get back to this, incident. So I basically put my vehicle emergency lights on. I turn off the Google Maps. I go ahead and get into Waze. Well, unfortunately, Waze continued to take me down back roads because at a certain point of me using it in the past, I had turned off highways. Not that I feel that I was close enough to any highway to jump back on anyway, because there's so much construction going on in Austin. I feel like you're pretty much getting derailed off the highway anyway, but it took me or continued to take me through the back roads. So it's I think it was showing me at 35 minutes out of town. At this point, it was telling me closer to like 45 minutes out of town. So I said, okay, well, we got no other choice. We gotta trust that this is gonna take me where I need to be. And I said to myself, in the next 30 minutes, if I am not anywhere near my home, right, or like near the city I live, I'm going to really need to call someone for help. So then I'm, on this little narrow road. I can really see anything. And my high beams were on, of course, and all I could see were little eyes because little creatures of the night, right? Whether it was deer or raccoons or whatever was out there. And then out of nowhere, there's this huge turkey that someone like ran over or something in the middle of the road. And of course, like all I could, there was no one coming on the opposite end. So I immediately like was able to swerve to the other side. And of course I'm not gonna stop to check, what's going on with this turkey that's just there. But after that, like, seeing that, I was now, like, determined to get back home within the next 35 minutes or so. And finally, I reached the point that seemed familiar to me where I had gone during the day, right, back roads, and, I was like, "Okay, like, I'm good." And I finally made it into town, which is I don't know, like, I don't know how many times I've done this in the past. For some reason, at the end of the day, when I'm nearing town, I end up in the small airport that's in the city, right? And I just keep telling myself, why you know, why do I trust these apps? Why do I keep doing this to myself? So I came home and everything was fine, told, all my loved ones I'm home, I'm safe, and my kids are waiting for me at home. So that was good. And that night I had trouble falling asleep, which I figured, just being out of town and all that winding out was gonna be hard for me. But I was not expecting to have reoccurring nightmares about this back road trip. And I had that happen pretty much all week up until yesterday, unfortunately for me. I just like kind of kept waking up in the middle of the night. And I would like to say that even though I don't know, I feel like I was much more scared this time than before. And I really don't know what it could have been. Obviously, also could be I just wasn't feeling too well, just being tired and all. But I kept having these nightmares where I'm back on the road in my vehicle, completely pitch black, and I can't see much of what's in front of me. I can hear noises, and then when I am able to see things, it's like animals being murdered or like killed and like all this like just violent dream, you know? And I told, some of my loved ones about that, and they were just like, "Whoa, like, where did that come from?" Like, "I have no idea. I have no idea. I have no idea why suddenly my, dream started doing that to me." But as of yesterday, they stopped, so hopefully they don't return. I also feel like it was more or less like a awakening in a sort. I feel like this happening and then the dream happening is more or less telling me, like, I'm up for a big change that's coming, right? And I feel everything that's happened this week has led to that as well. Like there's a big change coming. And although the road may be scary, I'm going to make it home. Like it's going to be okay. So, with that, let's get into our episode. It's going to be a bit of a long one just because, I could keep talking forever. But I got a pretty good episode. And in theme, since I did just tell you about my scary um, you know, experience on the road this week, I actually pulled, I believe, four different um, state roads, that I guess you can call them, right? Like just different roads in America, which have a lot of folklore, whether it be real or not. These are some of the scariest, if not at least dangerous, roads in America. So bear with me. We're going to be in for a bumpy ride. We're going to start with our first one that is located in Ohio. So this one is called Dead Man's Curve. This sharp curve on State Route 222 is notorious for accidents and urban legends. Many locals claim to hear ghostly screams at night from victims of past wrecks. Now, the real life danger behind this, it's sharp turn combined with poor visibility that has led to countless accidents over the years. So, like I said, all these either have some folklore, but they're still dangerous just on how they stretch out, right? For drivers who are out there. This one states that it's a really sharp curve and there's low visibility, which means that if you're not familiar with the area, which happens a lot, you can end up in some big trouble. And it's happened to me as well. Like sometimes you just don't know where the road ends, and those turns can definitely scare you a bit, especially if they're like bumps, there's weird curves, there's weird turns, it's dark, all that taken consideration can definitely create some accident prone issues. So now, it says that it's near Cincinnati. Again, it's infamous for being the site of numerous fatal accidents, and that's how it earned its chilling nickname. The curve is part of a rural two-lane road that has been in use since the early 1900s and originally constructed with little consideration for modern traffic speeds. It features a sharp, unexpected bend that has caught many drivers off guard. A lot of the incidents occur because drivers are unaware of the sharp bend and approach it too fast, so speeding. And then the weather conditions, so icy roads in winter and wet conditions in other seasons amplify the danger. As far as the urban legends go, there is three. One known as the Phantom Hitchhiker. So, like local legend tells of a ghostly hitchhiker who disappears when you try to give them a ride. This one's a very known, I would say, urban legend, and I've heard it not only in the States but also in Mexico. There has been quite a few different regions I visited where if you get into an Uber or a taxi and you ask these, because I do talk to my Uber, taxi people. I mean, sometimes they're just chatty. I think they're just curious, where are you from? You don't look like you're from here. And we always end up talking about like, how it is for them to work in that, whether taxi drivers or Uber drivers. And there's always some kind of urban legend where they tell me about a hitchhiker or a woman that would disappear if you try to give them a ride. And I would say Supernatural has spoken about this. There's so many other shows on Netflix that will always have that urban legend where you have a passenger who gets in your vehicle and disappears. They also speak about victim screams. So some claim to hear eerie cries or whispers at night, believed to be from victims of past crashes. There are car trouble tales where there drivers who state that there's mysterious breakdowns and strange occurrences when drivers stop in the area. There are real life tragedies, unfortunately. Like I said, it's a very dangerous road. So over the years, the curve has been the site of numerous accidents, many of which were fatal. And like I stated earlier, the combination of sharp turns, limited visibility, and drivers unfamiliar with the area creates the perfect storm for collisions. So, definitely not a place that you want to be caught if you're not familiar with the area. Also, don't drink and drive. I feel like I shouldn't have to say that, but don't drink and drive, guys, especially not at night. Like, I definitely have, thought about this in many different ways where even if you're not feeling well, I feel like even if you're sick, if you feel like you're not very alert at the time, always best to have a friend, family member drive you somewhere, Uber. I've done that myself. I haven't been feeling well, go to the doctor, and I take an Uber there. Why? Because it's not only about my life I'm endangering, someone else that is not, expecting me to be unable to drive my vehicle. So definitely take it seriously, guys. No driving when you are not feeling well or under the influence. Our second road here is going to be Route 2A in Maine, and this is known as the Haynesville Woods. This stretch is haunted by legends of a ghostly bride and phantom hitchhikers. Now, the reality of it is that it's a narrow, remote road where truckers and locals face icy conditions and wildlife, adding to the danger. So, this one, again, it's narrow. There is a lot of wildlife, which can also cause a lot of incidents just because they pop out of nowhere. And some of the wildlife, I would say, especially the deer, sometimes they see your headlights and they kind of freeze, I would say. So, that kind of helps you react. But again, if you're unfamiliar in the dark, and driving very fast, then you may not be able to hit those brakes in time before you can avoid any incidents. With the Haynesville Woods Road or Route 2A, a little bit more on that. We have that it runs through Aroostook County, a sparsely populated area of northern Maine, and it is often reported as, let's see, an area with very little cell service or access to help in case of emergencies. Travelers often report feeling isolated when they go through there, and the harsh winters of Maine make brutal conditions for the road with black ice and heavy snow. You will see moose and deer frequently cross the road, creating serious collision risk. And there are sharp turns and narrow lanes, which add difficulty for drivers that are navigating through the woods. We're gonna kind of skip the hitchhiking ghost because it's very similar to the Phantom Riders, but they do speak about a Phantom Bride, which says a young bride. The legend is that a young bride who died in a car accident along this road can be seen wandering in her wedding dress looking for help. There are also reports of overwhelming feeling of dread or being watched while driving through the woods at night. And that reminds me of what I just mentioned this week. It was a feeling of almost being watched on these roads. Just odd, scary, spooky. Okay. Now, interesting enough about this specific road, um, there is a song called "A Tombstone Every Mile" by Dick Curlis, which was inspired by the number of fatal accidents on this stretch of road. So that's quite interesting. Enough accidents that actually inspired someone to write a song about it. There are actually improvements that have been made to the Route 2A, but you still should be cautious according to travelers who still use it. And that's even during the day. So, although it's a very haunting and chilling road to have to travel to, it's still, one of many, I'm sure, that travelers say during the day it is very nature like and very nice. So proceed with caution. Our third road on this list that I put together for us is going to be Tail of the Dragon in Tennessee/North Carolina. And with 318 curves in just 11 miles, this road is a motorcyclist's dream or nightmare. Stories of crashes and eerie sighting abound. There are sharp turns, steep drop offs, and heavy traffic from thrill seekers make it one of the deadliest roads in America. This reminds me of a music video, and I'm trying to remember, I think it was Diplo? I don't remember. But there is a music video that came to mind where they're actually on motorcycles on this big, really pretty stretch of road. Unrelated, but just kind of came to my mind. Now, for the Tail of the Dragon, or also known as US Route 129, it's a world renowned stretch of road located on the border between Tennessee and North Carolina. Its thrilling curves and stunning scenery have made it a mecca for motorcycle enthusiasts and adventurous drivers, but it's also one of the most dangerous roads in the United States. Like I mentioned, there is 318 curves packed into those 11 miles with names like the Gravity Cavity and the Wheelie Hell. This spans 11 miles through the Great Smoky Mountains near the Tennessee and North Carolina state line. And it's dangerous because there are sharp turns, no guardrails. So the roads have extremely tight curves, steep drop offs, no room for error. So, no room for new drivers. Heavy traffic, so it does attract a lot of drivers, motorcyclists, and bicyclists, which increases the risk of collision. There's unpredictable conditions, so fog, rain, wet leaves can make the road especially hazardous. There's lack of services, so no intersections, driveways, or nearby gas stations to help if you're far away if an accident happens. So that in itself is a no-go for me by myself. Maybe I have someone else with me might be worth checking out. The Tail of the Dragon is a bucket list destination for motorcyclists and sports car drivers who test their skills navigating its twists and turns. There's also professional photographers often set up along the route to capture daring riders and drivers in action. The road has seen its fair share of fatalities due to reckless speeding, lack of experience, or overestimating one's driving skills. Local law enforcement strictly monitors the area, and speed limits are enforced to mitigate accidents. So, some of the urban legends or paranormal tales for this road are going to be ghost cars. So stories circulate of phantom vehicles appearing in the fog and disappearing after a sharp turn. Haunted curves. Some claim a particular bend is cursed, causing vehicles to lose control inexplicably. Chilling atmosphere. The dense forest and isolation give the road an eerie vibe, especially at night. I don't know why you would drive sharp turns and sudden drops and weird curves at night, but sometimes I guess you have to. So many accidents are attributed to thrill seekers unfamiliar with road challenges. Memorial crosses and plaques along the route commemorate lives lost on the dragon. So, some tips for safety if you are daring is to respect the curbs and avoid overconfidence. Watch for wildlife, bikers, and unexpected conditions, and ensure your vehicle is in top condition. And don't drive alone if possible. You see, I already knew that one. I wasn't going to. Okay. Now, I believe this is the last one, but these are actually really interesting. And honestly, I would, I would visit. A few, not alone, but interesting. So our fourth road is Clinton Road in New Jersey. This desolate stretch is said to be haunted by everything from ghostly children to phantom headlights. Some even report satanic rituals in the surrounding woods. While its dark history is chilling, its isolation and lack of cell service also make it physically unsafe. So, sharp turns to ghostly apparitions, these roads remind us of the thin line between myth and reality. There seems to be, let's see, what is going on with you, Clinton Road? Because my research did not find too much going on, so it could be a myth. Let's see. By the way, guys, anytime I do these episodes, there are multiple notes written. But, all right, let's see. Here we go. So, Clinton Road in West Milford, New Jersey, is one of the most notorious roads in America, known for its chilling legends, eerie atmosphere, and history of strange occurrences. This road stretches about 10 miles through a densely forested area of northern New Jersey. Its isolation and lack of streetlights make it an unsettling drive, especially at night. And the road has almost no houses or businesses, enhancing its eerie vibe. Some of the paranormal stories tied into Clinton Road are going to be the ghost at the bridge. So, one of the most famous stories involves a ghostly boy who haunts a bridge over Clinton Brook. According to legend, if you toss a coin into the water, the boy will throw it back, or you may feel his ghostly presence. I have always and will continue to say this about spirits and water. That is their energy source. Don't play with water. Ghost. There's also phantom vehicles. So drivers report being followed by phantom cars or trucks with blinding headlights that disappear without a trace. Strange creatures. Some claim to have seen cryptids like large wolves or bizarre hybrid animals lurking in the woods. Oh my god, that's actually what I kept also dreaming in my that's also what I dreamt, like weird animals. Okay. Cross Castle. The ruins of an old castle near the road are said to be a site of satanic rituals, and visitors report feeling an overwhelming sense of dread or hearing strange noises. That in itself is a no go. So, we will not be visiting Clinton Road based on the satanic rituals. And here's the thing I will say about that. I know a lot of people have a misconception of um, religion as far as Satanism goes, but do your research just because there's a difference. There is. Um, Satanists don't actually do rituals like you think they would. I think that's more on the Wiccan side. But even then, it's not, don't get me wrong, it's not a scary uh, animal sacrifice kind of rituals. They're more into nature rituals to protect energy, use your um, knowledge, to help you with ailments in a sense. So And they also use a lot of energy based on like on the moon and sun and things like that. But I would say anytime you hear, the whole satanic panic thing, which was a craze at some point, I think it was like the 70s or 80s, do your own research, guys. Google is free. Back to back to Clinton Road here. So there are some mob ties according to my research. There's remote locations where allegedly were used by mobsters to dump bodies. So in 1983, a cyclist discovered a corpse in the woods near the road, reportedly connected to organized crime. There have been several fatal accidents that have occurred along Clinton Road, with some attributing them to the road's dangerous curves or unexplained phenomena. Now, nighttime drivers are especially unsettled due to the total darkness and the occasional appearance of glowing eyes from animals, or so drivers hope that they're animals, right? There's definitely thick canopies of trees blocking out light even during the day. So, even during the day, you must stay alert if you're driving there. And of course, many of the legends are tied to private property or unsafe locations. So, if you are there visiting, just make sure that you respect that it is private property. And that is our last of the four, the scariest roads in America. These actually were all in all similar, I would say, but they each have like their own unique also description and different experiences. I will say though, it's interesting to see that I'm not alone. Okay. I'm telling you, it's one of those, one of those experiences that they truly teach you patience. I definitely had to learn that, patience, how to really calm yourself down in situations like that too, especially if you're alone. And honestly, it made me feel better once I got back to kind of talk about it, just because it just was so unexpected. And like I said, it's happened to me before, but not to this extent. Like I honestly need to plan my trips out of town way better. And also got me thinking that there are certain life skills that I need to pick up on, like maybe changing a tire or, not relying on my vehicle, or what is it? My warranty for them, right? To change like my oils, just normal adult things that I did not consider in the past or did not bother. Um, but now like it's vital, I feel like, to know these things. So I definitely will be looking into learning how to do all these things, especially if I continue to ride alone at night. And always just like I would say be aware. Like take a few minutes. I think that's also my bad, right? My bad. I should take a few minutes to just get familiar with the roads when traveling, even if it's through the apps. It's a good idea just to kind of get familiar to like what kind of road you're taking. But all in all, quick update. I think it was like 15 minutes. It's cool. So it was a quick update, a good episode on these roads, and also reminding you all to be safe out there if you're traveling during the holiday season. I am definitely going to be back here with a new episode. I'm still working on what that topic is going to be. I know there's so many things going on in our world right now, especially here in the States. And guys, I have so much to say about it, but I just don't think I'm ready to put all my thoughts together. I think you all know I'm a very outspoken person when it comes to things that affect us as humans. And a lot of what's going on in the news has actually affected me tremendously in the past, so I'm sure you are aware of like what's going on. Um, and in no way or form, do I think of any event that's occurred over the last few weeks. All of it is heavy. I would say all of it affects us in a different way. But I do feel that's going to be more or less on my other channel maybe, because it's not spooky stuff. It's just more or less like an opinion on what's been going on. Still thinking about that one just because it takes so much energy, to talk about those topics. At the same time, like I do like that people are finding a way to relate to others during this hard time. And all I can say is, yes, pay attention to the news. Yes, make your own conclusions, make um, time to research your own information. But overall, take care of yourselves too, because I do believe that it takes a toll on us as well, emotionally and mentally and physically at the end of the day. So all in all, I hope you enjoy this episode of the Yankees to Creations podcast. Again, your host Elle, and I'll be back for some more and new episodes. Make sure to, give us a like, follow us. We're on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube for sure. Share us with your family and friends. Make sure to visit our storefront for Redbubble and TeePublic and give us, some thoughts, some comments. I do believe I open comments for YouTube at this time. So give us, I don't know, heart us, tell us you don't like it, whatever you need to do. Until next time, be safe, guys.